I woke up as the villainess in a novel. The plot demanded I be consumed by jealousy for the male lead's one true love, that I'd act out crazily and destructively until I was finally shipped off to a psychiatric hospital. I looked at the stunningly beautiful face in the mirror. Then I looked down at the unlimited black card in my hand. And then at the walk-in closet overflowing with Hermes bags. I had to laugh. An asylum? Whoever wants to go can have my spot. I was done. I was checking out. I was going to take the male lead's money and live my own goddamn life. Liam Scott's hand was clamped around my neck. Hard. I couldn't breathe. He had just come from a funeral. He carried the cloying scent of lilies and damp earth, a scent that mingled strangely with his usual cold, crisp cedarwood cologne. The combination was bizarre. Vivian, he said, his voice low and deep, banked with fire. You'd better pray that Lily is okay. If I ever see you imitate a single one of her expressions, a single one of her movements again. His fingers tightened. I'll make you wish you were dead. My neck throbbed with pain. A tear escaped from the corner of my eye, an involuntary physiological response. Liam's gaze, fixed on that single tear, turned even colder. I knew what he was thinking. In the novel, the villainess, Vivian King, loved nothing more than to imitate Liam's one true love, Lily White. When Lily cried, she looked exactly like this. Pitiful, fragile, like a delicate white blossom. The me from before had spent 3 months practicing how to cry just like that in front of a mirror. So now, this perfectly timed tear? Liam was convinced I was putting on another show. He flung my hand away. I stumbled, catching myself on the cold, hard surface of the vanity to keep from falling. My throat was on fire. Cough, cough, cough. I clutched my neck, hacking until my lungs ached. Liam looked down at me, his eyes filled with the kind of revulsion you'd reserve for a piece of trash. Remember my words, he said, yanking at his tie before turning to leave. Stay away from Lily. If she doesn't wake up today, you'll be buried with her. Slam. The bedroom door shuttered in its frame. I leaned on the vanity, gasping for air. The woman in the mirror was a wreck. Her face was flushed, tears clung to her lashes, and her hair was a mess. But damn, she was beautiful. Vivian's face was a masterpiece. More vibrant, more aggressively stunning than Lily's innocent, girl-next-door purity. Too bad the novel's male lead, Liam Scott, only had eyes for Lily's type. He found Vivian's beauty garish and conniving. That's why no matter how she mimicked Lily, how she tried to please Liam, how she schemed to break them up, she was destined to lose her family, her fortune, and her sanity, ending her days in an asylum. Tragic. I touched the red marks on my neck. The stinging pain was a sharp reminder. This wasn't a dream. I had really been transported into a book. I was the villainess with the miserable ending. Liam's threat still echoed in my ears. If she doesn't wake up today, you'll be buried with her. I remembered. This was a key plot point. After Lily returned to the country, Vivian had arranged a minor car accident. Lily was physically unharmed, but had fainted from the shock. Liam, convinced Vivian was behind it, had come to confront her. Then, the original Vivian had cried and screamed, swearing her innocence while trying to throw herself at him, using her body to win him back. The result, of course, was like pouring gasoline on a fire. Liam's disgust had only deepened, laying the groundwork for him to eventually commit her. I looked down at myself. I was wearing a silk slip of a nightgown, thin and translucent. Clearly, it was the original owner's intended weapon. A shiver ran down my spine. I snatched the thick terry cloth robe from the back of a nearby chair and wrapped it tightly around myself. Buried with her? An asylum? No. No, thank you. I valued my life very much. And since I was here, as a rich, beautiful woman no less, why would I throw it all away? The male lead belonged to his true love. The money belonged to me. I walked to the massive floor-to-ceiling window. Outside, the river glittered with the lights of the city's most expensive district. Beneath my feet was a priceless, hand-woven rug. The bags and jewels in my closet could fund several lifetimes of luxury. I touched my still sore neck. My mind was made up. I was checking out. I was done playing games. I would stay far, far away from the main characters. And I would take Liam Scott's money and enjoy my life. As for Lily, I hoped she would wake up immediately, healthy and vibrant. And I hoped she and Liam would be shackled together for eternity, just as long as they left me alone. Lily woke up the next morning. False alarm. Liam hadn't shown up looking for me. probably wrapped up with his beloved.
Perfect.
More peace for me, the start of my grand retirement plan. Step 1. Move out of Liam's penthouse. The place was too big, too empty, and way too cold. Too luxurious to be homey, and too risky for accidental encounters with him. Bad for my mental health. I called a real estate agent. My instructions were simple. Downtown. Spacious, single-floor apartment. Stunning view. Fully furnished. Move-in ready. That afternoon, I hauled my limited edition suitcases into my new home. Over 3,000 square feet of open space, sunlight streaming through a massive curved window wall. I collapsed onto the sofa, which felt like floating on a cloud. I sighed. Finally, life. Step 2. Sort out my finances. Vivian might be obsessed with a man, but she was still the King family heiress. Her dowry alone was a fortune, and while Liam didn't love her, the Scott family cared about appearances. His monthly allowance to her account was astronomical. I opened my banking app. Seeing that endless string of zeros filled me with unfiltered joy. Forget villainous. I was basking in goddess-level wealth. Step 3. Sever every tie that could drag me back into a plot. In the story, Vivian had bribed Liam's assistants and hired private investigators to spy on me. Utterly ridiculous. I pulled up their contacts, typed a message, then hit send. Our arrangement is terminated. Final payment sent. Do not contact me again. Then block. Delete. Repeat. Finally, I opened the chat with Liam. The history was painful, a cringeworthy diary of my unrequited devotion. Liam, it's cold today. Don't forget your coat. Liam, I made soup. Shall I send it? Liam, your stomach is sensitive, don't overeat. His replies were mostly K, no, or silence. The last message, from yesterday. Liam, I know I was wrong. Please come home? I miss you. Secondhand embarrassment hit me like a truck. I typed, Liam, we need to talk. Then paused, deleted it, and rewrote. Mr. Scott, regarding yesterday, I must clarify I had no part in Ms. White's accident. I've moved out of the penthouse. Please contact me only if necessary. I wish you well.
Perfect.
Calm, distant, professional.
Send.
Then, I renamed his contact the ATM and silenced his notifications. Finally, the world felt quiet. I ordered an over-the-top seafood platter, grabbed an ice-cold Coke, and sank into the sofa to watch a mindless slapstick comedy. Laughter until my sides hurt. This was how a novel should be lived. Days passed and I let myself be. The old Vivian, always bending to Liam's tastes, had worn muted colors, dainty dresses, and walked delicately.
Now?
Baggy t-shirts with cartoon pigs, ripped jeans, flip-flops, bare face, but still enough to turn heads. Hole-in-the-wall eateries, food stalls, night markets, my new playground. 10 skewers in one hand, a giant bubble tea in the other, grease shining on my lips. Life was good. The old Vivian forced herself to attend stuffy concerts and pretentious art shows. Now, I lounged in my home theater, AC blasting, mountain of popcorn beside me, binging trashy dramas and blockbuster action movies. Crying, laughing, living. The old Vivian endured high society tease, subtly comparing and defending her failing marriage. Now, I'd quit all group chats, ignored calls, tossed invitations. Busy, dominating online games, catching up on manga, researching the spiciest Sichuan dishes. As for Liam, the ATM. Since my message saying we were done, radio silence. No games, no attempts to lure me back. K, fine by me. His silence was a blessing. We were like two parallel lines, each in our own world. He lived in his meticulously scripted life, and I thrived in mine, enjoying freedom, indulgence, and a little chaos. Until Liam's mother, my so-called mother-in-law, Mrs. Scott, had her birthday. There was no avoiding this event. The Scotts were an elite, aristocratic family, bound by rules and tradition. Mrs. Scott's birthday was always a grand affair, held at their sprawling hillside estate. When I arrived, the ballroom glittered with gowns, tuxedos, and an air thick with money and power. I glanced at myself. To show a sliver of respect, I'd worn a simple long black slip dress. Safe. Unremarkable. A silk scarf covered the faded marks on my neck from Liam's fingers. Light foundation, muted rose lipstick, hair pulled into a modest twist. Pearl studs for jewelry. On another day, I might have blended in perfectly. Here, surrounded by women who looked like they had robbed a high-end boutique, I looked plain, almost shabby. As expected, my entrance drew stares. Curious, speculative, and perhaps a little smug. Well, well, if it isn't Mrs. Scott, a shrill voice called. Mrs. Davenport, one of Vivian's old frenemies. She sauntered over, eyes raking me like hooks. Vivian, darling, you look so plain. Didn't Liam get you anything new for today? She raised her voice deliberately. Nearby women peeked, covering their smiles with their hands. Honestly, Mrs. Scott, this won't do. It's your special day. Perhaps Liam is a bit tight on funds? Or maybe some people's positions are becoming unstable? Their words, dripping with insinuation, were meant to flaunt my supposed fall from grace. The old Vivian would have reacted, face red, snapping a brittle defense or running to Liam for consolation, exactly what they wanted.
Now?
I picked up a glass of champagne from a passing waiter, took a slow sip, and finally looked at Mrs. Davenport. You're looking well today, Mrs. Davenport, I said evenly. That foundation almost matches your neck and face. Almost. Her smile froze. She touched her neck, unconsciously, betraying herself with a subtle snort. And you, Mrs. Wallace. I turned to the other woman. Absolutely dazzling. Is that the new centerpiece from the Scott jewelry collection? I seem to remember a price tag, with quite a few zeros. Your husband is generous. Her smile vanished. Eyes darting nervously, she clutched her borrowed necklace, like a lifeline. Business troubles clearly weighed heavily. I couldn't be bothered. I walked away, leaving them flustered and pale, or maybe flushed. Who could tell? Their attempts to provoke were tedious. I focused on what truly mattered. The food. Headed straight for the dessert station, I had just grabbed a tempting slice of Black Forest cake when an icy voice froze me in place. You certainly seem to be enjoying yourself. My hand trembled slightly. Chocolate nearly slid off the cake. I turned. Liam stood a few feet away, impeccably tailored in black, tall and imposing. Next to him, Lily. Moon-white silk-sheath dress, hair cascading softly, gentle, flawless smile. Fragile, fresh, like a delicate orchid needing protection. A stark, brutal contrast to my simple black dress. Liam's gaze flicked to the cake in my hand, then to my understated appearance. His brow furrowed almost imperceptibly, a mix of disgust and indifference clear in his eyes. Mother's looking for you, he said, his tone icy, as if giving an order to someone insignificant. Go greet her. And mind yourself. Don't disgrace the Scott family name. Lily tugged gently at his sleeve, her voice soft. Liam, don't say that to Vivian. She looks nice today. Her eyes, full of innocent apology, met mine. Vivian, Liam didn't mean it like that. He's just worried his mother's been waiting. What a perfect little peacemaker. I watched her carefully. In the story, Lily was always ambiguous, truly kind or a secret manipulator. But the tiny glimmer of triumph in her eyes was unmistakable. TSK. I was too tired for their theatrics. Got it, I said, my voice flat. I'm going. Then, right in front of them, I took the slice of Black Forest cake in my hand and shoved the whole thing into my mouth. Not elegant, not polite, just pure indulgence. My cheeks puffed, chocolate melting on my tongue.
Bliss.
Liam's brow nodded, his glare sharp as daggers. Lily's expression froze, clearly shocked at my crude display. I chewed, swallowed, grabbed a glass of wine, and without another glance, walked toward Mrs. Scott at the head table. Mrs. Scott, regal in deep purple, impeccably styled, looked up as I approached. Her polite smile faltered slightly, eyes sharp with judgment. Mother, happy birthday, I said evenly. She acknowledged, brow arched. Why are you dressed like that? Don't you understand the occasion? No sense of propriety. She gestured toward Liam and Lily. And why are you wandering alone? Go join them immediately. Under this kind of pressure, the old Vivian would have been a trembling bundle, fumbling and publicly humiliated. I inhaled deeply and met her gaze. Mother, I'm not feeling well today. I apologize if I seem rude, I said, voice calm but audible. I fear I might pass along my germs and spoil the evening. Now that I've paid my respects, I'll be leaving. Speechless, clearly not expecting such directness. The old Vivian would have endured any humiliation to impress Liam. You, she stammered. I wish you a long and healthy life. Your gift has been placed in your study by the butler, I added with a slight bow, etiquette flawless. Ladies, if you'll excuse me. Before anyone could react, I turned and walked out. My exit was clean, decisive. I could feel Mrs. Scott's astonished eyes, Liam's cold, piercing stare, and the whispers of society women enjoying the spectacle. I didn't care. Outside, the night air was cool and refreshing. I called a rideshare, standing on the side of the road with the Scott estate behind me, a vast, cold cage. I kicked at a pebble. Freedom felt good. A little over a month later, Liam came looking for me. It was a rainy weekend afternoon. I was curled up on the sofa, a sobbing mess, clutching a large tub of ice cream while watching an old tearjerker.
The doorbell rang.
Video intercom. Liam, handsome, expressionless, damp from the rain. His features seemed sharper or colder. I frowned. What could he want? After a pause, I buzzed him in. After all, I couldn't leave the CEO of Scott Industries standing outside in the rain. He entered, bringing with him a chill and the scent of rain. His eyes scanned my living room. Empty snack wrappers, half-eaten chips, soda cans, the nearly empty ice cream tub still in my hands. I wore a fluffy dinosaur onesie. Tear tracks streaked my cheeks. A total disaster. Disgust flashed in his eyes. What is it? I asked, grabbing a tissue to blow my nose. I stayed put. No intention of offering him a drink. He hesitated, clearly unused to this attitude, before sitting in the armchair opposite me. Soft chair, soft landing. Slightly uncomfortable, even. Next month is grandfather's 80th birthday, he said flatly, like it was business. It will be at the family estate. You are expected to attend. Oh, I said, shoveling a giant spoonful of ice cream into my mouth. Cold, but satisfying. Got it. Liam's frown deepened at my crude gesture. Vivian, he said sharply, watch your manners. I swallowed a mouthful of ice cream. Mr. Scott, I'm in my own home in pajamas, eating ice cream, and watching a movie. What kind of manners do you expect me to show? I said calmly. It's not like I'm out there embarrassing your family. His sharp gaze studied me, like I had suddenly become a stranger. What have you been doing lately? He asked abruptly. I paused. Eating, sleeping, playing games, watching shows. Why? You haven't been bothering Lily? His suspicion was thick in his voice. I almost laughed in sheer frustration. Liam, I told you before, Lily's accident had nothing to do with me. I have no interest in meddling. I'm busy enjoying my life. I don't have time for your drama. I paused, then added, don't worry. As long as you keep the deposits coming, I'll stay far away from both of you. You can have your epic, angsty romance. I'll just be a quiet, on-paper Mrs. Scott. I won't interfere. Direct enough? Checked out enough for him? Liam's expression darkened. His eyes were complex. Curiosity, confusion, perhaps even a flicker of offense. Vivian, he said, his voice hard. You'd better mean that. Of course, I said, resuming my ice cream. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. He stood, towering over me. For grandfather's party, dress appropriately. Don't embarrass yourself like last time. And just like that, he was gone. The door closed, sealing off the oppressive chill he'd brought. I rolled my eyes. Jerk, I muttered, returning to my ice cream. On the screen, the hero and heroine were finally reunited, crying in each other's arms. I cried too, along with them. Grandfather Scott's 80th birthday was an even grander affair than his wife's. The main hall of the family estate, ancient and magnificent, gleamed with carved beams and intricate decorations. The guest list was a who's who of the country's elite, politicians, business tycoons, celebrated artists. Formality and festivity blended in the air. I had learned my lesson. I hired a stylist days in advance. We chose a conservative, dark red velvet gown, long-sleeved, high-necked, revealing nothing but my wrists. Hair in a flawless updo, small jade earrings, subtle makeup. I looked demure, elegant, and utterly non-threatening, perfectly suited for the role of the on-paper Mrs. Scott. When Liam saw me, his gaze lingered briefly. No words, just a slight nod. Lily was there too, ethereal in a pale pink chiffon gown. Sweet, fairy-like, standing by Liam. He treated her warmly, shielding her, speaking softly. Observers whispered among themselves. See? That's the one he really cares about. The real wife is just for show. Probably won't be long before she's out for good. I ignored them, grabbed a glass of juice, and found a quiet corner. The ceremony dragged on, speeches, gift presentations, cake cutting, until the banquet. Seated at the massive round table, hierarchy dictated placement. As granddaughter-in-law, I sat next to Liam, Lily at another table with some extended family. A flicker of disappointment crossed her face, noticed by Liam, though he stayed silent. Exquisite dishes followed. Lobster bisque, pan-seared sea bass, truffle-stuffed quail. I ate with gusto. Eat more, talk less, my motto, oblivious to Liam barely touching his food, preoccupied with his family. Yet his gaze occasionally flicked to me, expression complicated. As wine flowed and the atmosphere lightened, Lily approached our table gracefully, glass of red wine in hand. Liam, Vivian, I'd like to propose a toast. To grandfather, for a long and happy life. Her blush was soft, sincere. Liam looked at me, silently signaling it was my turn to play Mrs. Scott. I put down the half-eaten crab leg, wiped my hands, and raised my glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. Thank you, I said flatly. I appreciate the thought. I'll stick with juice. Lily's smile faltered. She looked troubled. Vivian, she hesitated, glancing between her wine and my juice. Several elders now stared, disapproving. Liam's uncle frowned. Vivian, Lily went out of her way to toast you. Juice? You have no manners. You're embarrassing Liam. Liam's face darkened. Vivian, pick up your wine, he commanded, tone sharp.
Here we go again.
As if I existed solely to prop up Liam's image and uphold Scott family manners. The old Vivian would have swallowed it all, despite her poor tolerance, to earn a scrap of Liam's approval.
Now?
I looked at Liam's stern, handsome face, at Lily's near-tears expression, and at the expectant, judgmental gazes around me. A small spark of annoyance began to smolder inside me. I set down my juice glass. I grabbed a clean and used small bowl from the table. Then, picking up the serving spoon from the centerpiece dish, I scooped a generous portion of the steaming, fiery Sichuan beef. Under the stunned eyes of everyone present, I poured that massive spoonful, chili oil dripping, peppers glistening, into the glass of red wine Lily was holding. Sizzle. The wine instantly turned a murky, oily red, with chili flakes and slices of beef floating on top. The room froze. Time seemed to stop. Lily's face went white. Her hand trembled around this Sichuan beef red wine concoction. Liam sprang to his feet, ashen. Vivian, what are you doing? His voice thundered, a vein throbbed in his temple. I calmly dabbed a few drops of chili oil from my hand with a napkin, looked up, and took in the scene, Liam, practically on fire, Lily near tears, and the circle of horrified faces surrounding us. I tugged the corner of my mouth into a fake, insincere smile. Weren't we making a toast? I said sweetly. I gestured toward the glass in Lily's hand. A toast for toast. I call this one good fortune. My treat. Here's to you. I let my gaze linger on Liam's thunderous expression. Having a bright future. Bottoms up. Someone in the room couldn't hold it in and burst into laughter. Covered their mouth, but in the heavy silence, the sound was piercingly clear. Lily's tears finally spilled. Liam, she whispered, trembling. Liam snatched the horrid concoction from her hand and slammed it onto the table. Chili oil splashed onto the expensive tablecloth. By 6, and he spat my name like a curse. I met his gaze without flinching. Almost wanted to laugh. Mr. Scott, I said, terrifyingly calm. The toast is complete. May I get back to my crab leg? I dabbed at my lips with a clean napkin. Or, I added, do you think my mere presence here is what's really embarrassing your family? Liam's chest heaved. Fury radiated from him, but for the first time, he said nothing. He just stared, as if seeing me in a new light. The room was pin-drop quiet. Everyone watched this absurd, farcical scene unfold. Finally, Liam grabbed his suit jacket, swept up the still-sobbing Lily, and stormed out, rage and humiliation radiating from his back. I watched them disappear, then turned to the stunned, gaping crowd. Calmly, I picked up my half-eaten crab leg and continued eating. Cold. Not as good. After that disastrous banquet, my relationship with Liam didn't just hit rock bottom, it plummeted straight to the earth's core. The story of Mrs. Scott humiliating the one true love by forcing her to drink chili oil-infused wine, enraging the CEO into storming out, became the top gossip topic of the year. Each retelling was more embellished than the last. I was crazy. Desperate. A woman scorned, bent on revenge. I didn't care. Life went on. Liam never contacted me again. The allowance, however, was still deposited on schedule. Reliable, at least in that regard. The ATM was consistent. For a while, life was peaceful. I slept in, ordered takeout, watched shows, played games. Sometimes I explored the city, hunting for hidden culinary treasures. Life was like that of a retired old lady. Until my useless mother showed up. Mrs. King, Vivian's biological mother. A woman who treated me not as a daughter, but as a tool for climbing social ladders and strengthening family ties with the Scotts. In the original memories, there was no maternal warmth, only endless demands and control. She needed me to capture Liam's attention, secure my place as Mrs. Scott, and benefit the King family. The old Vivian would have obeyed, without question.
Now?
Mrs. King stormed into my apartment, face twisted in rage. Vivian, look at what you've done. She slammed a gossip magazine onto the coffee table. The cover screamed, MRS, Scott's jealous rage. Public humiliates rival. Scott's CEO storms out in fury. You've completely disgraced me, she shrieked, finger jabbing at my nose. All the other wives are laughing at me.
Oh.
I was curled up on the sofa with a bag of chips. Oh, that's all you have to say. Her voice rose to a screech. Do you have any idea how much trouble the King family is in? Several of our projects depend on scraps from the Scott family. And what do? You go and piss off Liam Scott. She lunged forward and snatched the bag of chips from my hands.
Eat, eat, eat.
That's all you know how to do. Look at you. You're no different from a useless bum. I looked at her flushed, angry face and felt nothing. So, what do you want me to do? I asked calmly. Go apologize to Liam. Beg that little brat Lily for forgiveness, she shrieked. Beg him to forgive you. Move back in with him. And for heaven's sake, figure out how to get pregnant. Once you have a child, your position is secure. The same old song. I smirked. Mother, I said flatly, you know as well as I do that Liam's heart belongs to Lily. If I go begging, it will only annoy him. No point in trying anymore. Then figure something out, she yelled. Learn from Lily. Learn how she charms men. Act weak, act pitiful, act understanding. You're better looking than she is, if you just swallow your pride. I can't, I interrupted. You have to, she screeched. Vivian, don't you forget who you are? You're a daughter of the King family. We raised you, fed you, clothed you, sent you to study abroad, and married you into the Scott family, not for you to sit around like a useless slob. You have a responsibility to this family. There it was again. That we gave you life. We raised you, guilt trip. The one that had suffocated the original Vivian. I stood up and walked to the window, staring out at the bustling city below. Mother, I said quietly, my back to her. The money the King family spent raising me? I'll pay it back. She froze. What? I turned to face her. The monthly allowance Liam gives me? Untouched. Add that to my dowry and personal savings. I named a figure, large enough to make her gasp. Is that enough to cover the cost of raising me? Mrs. King's mouth opened and closed. If it's not enough, I continued. I have funds, stocks, and several properties I can liquidate. Altogether, it should be more than enough to patch the King family's financial gaps. She was stunned, staring at me as if I were some mythical creature. Vivian, are you insane? That's your money. That's for your future. My future? I laughed. My future has nothing to do with the King family. I stepped closer. The money, my lawyer will handle it. Transfer it to the family account. Consider it my payment to buy back the kindness of raising me all these years. From now on, the King family is the King family. And I am... You go your way, I interrupted. And I'll go mine. Don't come looking for me again. And don't think about using me to leverage any family projects. I spoke slowly, deliberately. Every word a clear slap across her face. Her expression shifted from anger to shock, then to a pale, incredulous ash. You. Her finger trembled as she pointed at me. Ungrateful child. Viper. We raised you for nothing. Without the King family, without the title of Mrs. Scott, you are nothing. Then you don't have to worry about me anymore, I said coldly. The door is over there. Don't let it hit you on the way out. Mrs. King snatched her Hermes bag, shot one last venomous glare, and stormed out. Her heels clicked furiously, the door slamming behind her with a final, echoing rattle. I stood staring at the empty doorway. Relief didn't come. Instead, there was a hollow feeling in my chest. Was it the remnants of the original Vivian's emotions? Or just the last, laughable shred of hope I'd held for something called family? I shook my head, clearing the useless thoughts. I went to the fridge, grabbed a cold beer, popped it open, and took a long swig. The bitter liquid slid down my throat. But damn, it was satisfying. True to her word, Mrs. King never came looking for me again. All contact with the King family ceased. The world was finally completely quiet. I had settled into a truly secluded life of retirement. Time passed quickly. Half a year later, it was late autumn, the air carrying a crisp chill. One day, I was at home, binge-watching a new food documentary. My mouth watered, especially during a segment about an old noodle shop tucked away in a quiet alley. The steaming bowl of red oil Sichuan beef noodles on the screen, the chef's practice movements of pulling the noodles, pouring the broth, sprinkling the green onions. It was a siren's call. And the address was right here in the city. I threw off the TV, slipped into a hoodie and jeans, grabbed my phone and keys, and bolted. Liam, the King family, the entire dramatic plot of the novel. None of it could compete with the siren song of noodles. I followed the GPS through a maze of streets and finally arrived at the unassuming little shop. Zhang's Beef Noodles. The sign was faded and peeling. A few greasy folding tables and small plastic stools were set up outside. It was lunchtime and the place was packed. The air was thick with a rich aroma of beef broth and chili oil. I swallowed hard. Time to get in line. When it was my turn, I ordered with gusto. 1 beef noodle. Double beef. Add an egg. Extra spicy. You got it. Find a seat inside, the lady boss called, her voice booming as she worked with brisk efficiency.
There were no seats inside.
I snagged a small stool in a corner outside and settled in. That's when I heard it, a familiar, soft voice, tinged with grievance. Liam, I really didn't expect this to happen, that Mr. Chin, It was Lily. I instinctively glanced over. It really was her, wearing a white knit dress and beige trench coat, looking pure and fragile. Across from her, with his back to me, sat someone in a dark gray cashmere coat. Broad shoulders. Straight back. Liam. I couldn't see his face, only hear his deep, steady voice. I know. I'll handle it. But Lily's voice quavered. The project fell through, and Mr. Wang, Liam, it's all my fault. I'm useless. I couldn't even manage something so small. It's not your fault, Liam said flatly. Mr. Chin was never a good person to begin with. Then what do we do now? She asked helplessly. Liam paused. Let's eat first. Just then, the lady boss arrived with my noodles. Miss. 1 double beef. Extra egg. Extra spicy. Careful, it's hot. Her booming voice drew attention from everyone nearby, including Liam and Lily. Liam's head turned. His eyes swept over the crowd and landed on me just as I looked up. Our gazes locked. Time froze. Liam's pupils contracted. His face remained an unreadable mask, but the shock in his eyes was unmistakable. He hadn't expected to see me here, in a messy, greasy, hole-in-the-wall noodle shop. Vivian King. In a cheap hoodie and jeans. Hair tied back carelessly. No makeup. Sitting on a grimy plastic stool. A bowl of terrifyingly red noodles piled high with beef, and a fried egg in front of me. Looking like any other ordinary office worker. Lily gasped beside him, hand flying to her mouth. Vivian?
I didn't look at them again.
I picked up my chopsticks, stirred the glistening noodles, and lifted a large bundle to my lips.
Slurp.
The noodles, slick with chili oil and broth, slid smoothly down my throat. Fragrant, spicy, hot. The beef was tender, flavorful. The noodles chewy, the fried egg perfectly runny, with crispy edges. One bite sent a jolt through me, sweat beading on my forehead. Pure, soul-shaking bliss. I exhaled, savoring the moment, but I couldn't stop. I ate with reckless focus, completely ignoring the 2 multimillionaires at the next table. Liam's gaze didn't waver. His look was analytical, almost as if he were studying some astonishingly strange new species. Lily tugged gently at his sleeve. Liam, let's go, shall we? This isn't a good place to talk. Liam didn't move. He continued to watch me sweat over the spice, watch my lips redden from the chili, watch me casually wipe oil from my chin as I slurped down another mouthful. His brow, tightly furrowed at first, slowly began to relax. The shock and judgment in his eyes melted into something deeper, more inscrutable. Excuse me, he said suddenly. His voice wasn't loud, but even in the noisy environment, It carried that unmistakable tone of command. The lady boss, busy at the stove, called without looking up. "What is it?" "One bowl of beef noodles," Liam said. Lily froze. I paused mid-bite, staring at him in surprise. Liam, as if oblivious to the stares around us, added, "The same as hers. Double beef, add an egg, extra spicy." Lily's face drained of color.
Liam.
"You can't eat spicy food. Your stomach." "It's fine," he interrupted flatly. "You got it." "Just a minute," the lady boss called back. Lily looked from him to me, confusion and hurt flickering across her features, mixed with something I couldn't quite name: suspicion. I shrugged and returned my attention to my bowl. Whatever. Food came first. Soon Liam's noodles arrived. An identical, fiery red bowl, piled high with beef and a fried egg, steaming with rich aroma. He lifted the disposable chopsticks, snapping them apart with a slightly awkward motion. A few strands of noodles hovered over the bowl, coated in thick chili oil and seeds. He hesitated, then brought them to his lips.
Chew. Slowly.
And then his perpetually stoic, perfectly composed face flushed a deep, comical red. It spread from the tips of his ears down his neck. A vein throbbed in his temple. Then came the coughing. Violent, gut-wrenching, body-shaking coughing. Tears streamed down his face. The cold, aloof CEO facade had completely crumbled. Lily panicked, handing him a bottle of water. "Liam, drink this." "I told you no spicy food." He grabbed it and gulped down several large swallows before finally regaining control. His eyes were red-rimmed, lips swollen, forehead slick with sweat. Not a trace remained of the imperious, untouchable CEO. I couldn't help myself. A soft, suppressed laugh escaped.
Uffed.
Liam's head snapped up. His gaze, red and furious, cut straight to me. If looks could kill, I'd have been toast 100 times over. He finally shot to his feet, the sudden movement nearly tipping over his barely touched noodles. "Let's go," he rasped at Lily. Without another glance at me, he grabbed a still-dazed Lily and practically fled, leaving the steaming bowl behind. Alone, I collapsed onto the small, greasy table, laughing until I couldn't breathe. Tears streamed down my face. The great noodle incident of the year. Totally worth it. After that, Liam Scott seemed to vanish from my world. Even the monthly allowance, always reliable before, stopped arriving. I checked my account. Plenty of money remained, enough to last several lifetimes. Fine by me. The last nominal tie severed. Life returned to its peaceful routine. Reading, movies, games, occasional forays to hunt hidden culinary treasures in the city. Days flowed like water. By year's end, the weather had grown colder. I bundled up in a thick down jacket and visited a newly opened hot spring resort in the suburbs. The online reviews praised their buffet. After a long, relaxing soak, I shuffled to the buffet restaurant, hair still damp, plate of grilled shrimp and small cakes in hand. I found a quiet table by the window when I overheard a familiar argument from the other side of a partition. "Lily, how long are you going to keep this up?" Liam's voice, weary but tense, cut through the noise.
"Me?"
"I'm not the one making a scene, Liam." Lily's voice cracked, sharp and shrill, thick with tears. "That Vivian. She's a lunatic. The way she acted at the noodle shop, she deliberately made a fool of you. And you still. It has nothing to do with her." Liam interrupted, impatient. "How can it not? You've changed since she reappeared. You never used to look at me like that. You wouldn't have gone to a low-class place like that. You wouldn't eat that food. It's all her. She's turned you into this." "That's enough." His voice cut sharp, warningly cold. The buffet went silent for a moment, all attention subtly drawn to their argument. I forked a piece of cake into my mouth. Sweet, creamy, but not too rich. And completely satisfying. "Liam," Lily's voice softened, heavy with grievance and fear. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell. I'm so afraid of losing you. Vivian, she's not worthy of you. She's crude, uncouth, like a common shrew. She only ever embarrasses you. Only I am the one who truly loves you, who understands you." Liam went silent, long enough that I thought they had left. Then he spoke, finally, his voice weighted with weariness and a strange distance. "Lily, we both need to calm down."
"No."
"Liam, I don't want to calm down." For a while," he interrupted, firm, leaving no room for argument. "Don't come looking for me. I heard Lily's heels clicking quickly as she ran away in tears. Then, heavier footsteps approached in my direction. I kept my head down, peeling the last grilled shrimp on my plate, dipping it in sauce, utterly focused. Liam appeared at my table, bathrobe loosely tied, damp hair plastered to his forehead, his pale face marked with faint dark circles. He looked exhausted. He simply stood there, watching me eat with blissful concentration, the pile of shrimp shells and empty cake plates spread around me. Expression unreadable. I didn't look up. I didn't invite him to sit. Only the soft chewing filled the quiet. "You heard all that?" he asked, voice hoarse. I swallowed, wiped my hands with a napkin, then met his gaze. "Yeah," I said. "The walls are thin." A corner of his mouth twitched, a fleeting, almost imperceptible smile. "Sorry you had to see that." "It's fine," I said flatly. "I'm used to it." Silence stretched between us. His gaze studied me, searching, analyzing. "Vivian," he said. "You," he paused, choosing his words carefully. "The way you are now, it's good." I raised an eyebrow. "Thanks for the compliment." My tone held a touch of sarcasm. He ignored it, eyes still steady, deep. "Before, I was wrong about you," he said quietly, each word deliberate. I blinked. An apology? Or some rare CEO epiphany? I smirked. "You're too kind, Mr. Scott," I said, sipping my juice. "I was immature before, causing trouble. We're fine now. We don't bother each other." I stood, picking up my plate. "Enjoy your meal. I'm leaving." A few steps later, his voice stopped me, stubborn, insistent. "That bowl of noodles. I finished it later." I turned, confused. He stood there, bathrobe loosely tied, damp hair plastered, collarbone exposed. The sharp, distant air gone. Vulnerable, almost human. "It was very spicy," he said. "But it was good." I looked at him, the man who once threatened me, who once looked at me like I was worthless, now awkward, obstinate. I felt nothing, almost wanted to laugh. "Oh," I nodded. "That's nice." "You could try mild next time," he offered. I took my empty plate and walked away without another glance, leaving him and his belated, bizarre realization behind. Winter turned to spring. Succulents on my balcony sprouted vibrant green shoots. I sprayed water over them when the phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello." "Excuse me, is this Ms. Vivian King?" a professional, middle-aged male voice asked. "It is." "Good morning. I am Mr. Liam Scott's attorney, Mr. Chen." My heart skipped a beat. A lawyer? Was the ATM finally making a move? Divorce? Would he leave me with nothing? "Please don't misunderstand," Mr. Chen said, sensing my silence. "This concerns the divorce agreement between you and Mr. Scott. He has entrusted me to handle all the arrangements." I knew it. I collected myself. "Okay, go on." "Mr. Scott's wishes are that the terms of the agreement be entirely at your discretion. The apartment you currently reside in, as well as all funds previously transferred to your personal accounts, including stocks and mutual funds, will remain your sole property, as..." Mr. Chen paused. "As compensation for the past." "Compensation?" I snorted. "Furthermore," Mr. Chen continued, "if you have any other demands, such as real estate, cash settlements, or..." "I don't." I cut him off. "Pardon?" I said. "I don't have any other demands," I said calmly.
We'll do it as he said.
"When do I sign?" Mr. Chen hesitated, probably not expecting such straightforwardness. Are you sure you don't want to consider any other terms?" "I'm sure," I said, gazing out at the bright sunlight. "The sooner, the better." "Very well," he said, regaining his professional composure. "I have the agreement ready. When would be a convenient time for you to sign? Or I could have it delivered to you. Don't go to the trouble. Email me the digital copy. I'll sign and send it back." That would be acceptable," he said, slightly surprised. "Shall I send it now?" "Please do." Moments later, a new email arrived. I opened it, downloaded the thick PDF, and scrolled straight to the last page. Signature line. I picked up my tablet and stylus. With a flourish, I signed my name. Vivian King. No hesitation. No regret. Only the sweet relief of finality. I scanned the page and emailed it back.
Signed.
"Thank you for your assistance." I set the tablet down and stretched, letting the warm sunlight soak into my skin. From this day forward, Vivian King was completely, utterly free. The divorce finalized quietly. When I held the crisp new decree, it felt like a passport to a new life. The first thing I did was put the apartment on the market. The agent's eyes widened. Miss King, this location, this layout, these renovations, are you sure you want to sell? The market isn't at its peak. I'm sure, I said firmly. And the price? 10% below market value. I want a quick sale. The agent grinned. No problem. Leave it to me. The apartment sold quickly to a flashy, wealthy buyer. On handover day, I stood at the door with the same limited edition suitcase I had arrived with, taking one last look at the sanctuary I'd called home. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Goodbye, Mrs. Scott. I closed the door and walked away without looking back. On the other side of the city, in an old, bustling neighborhood, I rented a small street-front shop, maybe 100 square feet, with a tiny back room for living. It had been a bubble tea shop that had gone bust. I took it over, painted the walls white, installed second-hand stainless steel counters, and hung a simple sign. Viv's Noodles. Opening day was quiet. Just a few firecrackers to draw the neighbors' curiosity. Hey, a new noodle shop? The owner's young and pretty. Can she even cook? She doesn't look the type. I stood behind a steaming pot, apron on. The aroma of beef bone broth, simmered all night, filled the air. On the counter, hand-pulled noodles were perfectly uniform and chewy, topped with my secret recipe beef, glistening red. Grand opening special for 3 days. Buy 1 bowl of beef noodles, get 1 free. I called with a smile. Curious locals wandered in. Boss lady, is it really buy one get one? I'll have a bowl. Let's see. Me too. I worked with precision. Boiling noodles, pouring broth, piling beef, sprinkling bright green scallions. Bowl after bowl went out, steaming and fragrant.
Whoa.
Look at all this meat. You're not skimping. The broth is so rich. And the noodles chewy perfection. She knows what she's doing. Delicious. I'll take another, and the free one for my son. The little shop came alive. Slurps, chatter, laughter. The warm, messy reality of everyday life. I stood behind the counter, sweat on my forehead, heart full. This was life. Real. Scalding hot. And completely, entirely in my own hands. Word spread quickly. Viv's Noodles became a neighborhood sensation. Lines often formed outside. I was a one-woman whirlwind. Cooking, plating, taking orders, collecting money. Exhausted, yes, but fulfilled. One day at noon, just after the lunch rush, I was sitting on a small stool, rubbing my aching back, when the wind chime on the door tinkled. Welcome. What can I get for you? The menu's on the wall, I called out, without looking up. 1 bowl of beef noodles. A deep, familiar male voice. My hand froze mid-rub. I looked up. Liam Scott was standing in the doorway. He wasn't wearing his signature expensive suit, just a simple black button-down shirt, sleeves casually rolled to his elbows, revealing strong forearms. His hair wasn't slicked back. A few strands fell across his forehead. He looked less sharp, more weary. He looked at me, at my small, crowded, chaotic noodle shop, at my grease-stained apron, at my pale, tired face. His eyes were deep, complex. Mr. Scott. I stood, surprised. How did you find this place? My lawyer mentioned it, he said, walking in and spotting a small plastic stool against the wall. The stool was too low for him. He folded his long legs awkwardly, looking almost comical. You want noodles? I asked. Yes, he nodded. Beef noodles. With double beef and an egg. He paused. Mild. I looked at him. He looked back calm, with a gaze I couldn't quite decipher. Not pity. Not charity. Not curiosity. More like confirmation. All right. 1 moment, I said, turning to the stove. I worked efficiently, boiling water, adding noodles, draining them, pouring in hot bone broth, piling on a generous layer of beef, frying a golden yolked egg, and placing it on top. Finally, a sprinkle of green onions. Your noodles. Mild, I said, placing the bowl on the small folding table in front of him. The aroma of beef, broth, and chili oil filled the small space. Liam looked at the bowl, then at me. He picked up disposable chopsticks, broke them apart, and lifted a tangle of noodles to his lips. His movements were still a bit clumsy, but deliberate. He chewed slowly, then nodded. It's very good, he said, sincere. I offered a slight smile. That'll be $25, I said, pointing to the QR code on the wall. Cash or card? Liam froze. A flicker of shock passed over his face. He probably hadn't expected me to ask so directly. He pulled a crisp $100 bill from his wallet and held it out. "Keep the change." I didn't take it. "Mr. Scott, this is a small business. I don't run tabs and I don't take tips," I said, pointing again to the QR code. $25. "Please scan." His hand froze midair. He met my eyes.
Come.
Professional. No hint of spite, no provocation. Purely business. After a long moment, he put the bill away, took out his phone, and scanned the QR code.
Beep.
"Payment received. $25, a cold, electronic voice announced. "Thank you for your business," I said, offering a professional smile. "Enjoy your meal." I turned to the back of the shop, where a mountain of dishes awaited. The sound of running water and clattering bowls filled the space. In the front, Liam Scott sat alone, his bowl of noodles steaming in front of him, quietly savoring each bite.